Well, Metzia Daf Kuftes Amud Aleph, organic growth, Shvach Shikmah. Firstly, the shir is dedicated in honor to my granddaughter, that's Livia and Jared's daughter, Meira Esther Bas Rabbi Yaakov. So it was her bat mitzvah this week, and also an appreciation of Rav Lopiansky, the Rosh Yeshiva of the Yeshiva of Greater Washington, who's hosting the shir today. Thanks to him and to the Yeshiva, not only for hosting us, but for all the work they've done in this area and this part of the country. Livia's very active in the education at the Torah school that feeds this yeshiva. So I'm really proud of what you as a family are doing for Torah in Greater Washington. We're going to learn the Ravid's take on a machlokes Abaya v'Rava. Abaya and Rava have had so many of their differences of opinions, and we've talked about their different approaches to Gemara and how Abaya v'Rava revolutionized the learning of Gemara, and we follow their methodology even today. But each of them, Abaya and Rava, had a different way of seeing the world and of understanding the Mishnah and understanding the learning of Gemara, and we'll see it in action here. And the Ravid has a particular approach to this machlokes Abaya and Rava, who try to extrapolate a law from the Mishnah, and we'll expand that understanding, we'll deepen our understanding of the Ravid. It starts with the Mishnah at the top of Kuftes, Hamekabel sadeh michavero l'shanim muatot. A person rents a field from somebody else, whether he's a choker or he's a kablan, a socher. There are these different types of rental that we've been dealing with. According to the Rambam, it doesn't matter which form of rental it is. If he has it for a limited number of years, we'll see it means less than 7, then there's certain things he can't do. For example, he can't plant pishtan, lo yizra'ena pishtan. He can't plant linen, flax, because that depletes the field, and it takes more than 7 years to recover from the planting of pishtan. And the second thing, which is where we want to focus, ve'ein lo bekorot shikmah. He has no rights to the beams of the shikmah trees. Now, exactly what a shikmah is doesn't really matter, and the people who like to get into the Mishnah scientifically go into the question of what kind of tree is this? Is it a sycamore? It doesn't matter. What Rashi says is, and that's what's important, Eitz serekhu v'kotzitzin anafav lekorot abinyan. What's important is it's a leafy tree. It's not a fruit tree. And its purpose is to provide wood. It's used for forestry, it's used for wood in the construction industry. So a shikmah, as often is the case in the Mishnah, is a concept. It's not necessarily a particular tree. Is it a sycamore tree or this tree? It doesn't matter. It's a concept. It's a tree that is used for wood, not for fruit. So is he allowed to cut the beams? Is he allowed to use the wood? He's rented the field to plant the field, and he's planting crops at the field. But on the edge of the field, there are these beautiful shikmah trees, and he wants to take a few branches as beams. The same problem exists. They can't replenish in time to return the field to the original owner, and he has to return the field to the original owner the way he received it. So if he chops off some of the beams from the shikmah tree, and after 5 years, he returns the field to the owner without those branches, he's returning the field less than he received it, so he's not allowed to get there. And there's no machlokes, that's accepted. The Mishnah states that as law. In the Gemara, Amar Abaya, now we have the machlokes Abaya and Rava. Abaya says, Bekorot shikma in law. Notice the wording of the Mishnah. He's not allowed to chop down the beams from the shikma. But bishvach shikma, but the Mishnah doesn't comment on whether he has rights to the organic growth of the shikmah tree. So during the period that he has the field, the shikmah develops some new branches. The existing branches of the shikmah thicken, they become stronger. So now you've got this little forest of shikmah trees on the boundary of the field, and the forest is worth $5,000 because it can be used in the construction industry. After his 5 years in the field, these trees have grown, they're stronger, they're more plentiful, and the little forest is now worth $6,000. And when he returns the field to the original owner, says, I'm returning the field to you more than it was when I took it. It's $1,000, it's worth $1,000 more than when I took it, because there's been organic growth in the shikmah tree. Is he allowed to claim that? Abaya says, yes, yeshlo. Absolutely, he gets it. Rav Amar afilu bishvach shikma nami ein lo. No, not only can't he chop down those branches, but even the organic growth of the branches, which adds to the value of the field, he can't claim that from the owner. He has no rights in that natural growth of the shikmah trees. And the Rif Paskins Hilchata Karava. The halacha is like Rava, he has no rights in the growth of the shikmah trees. What is the issue? The Torah paskins that as well. The Torah says, "Ve'afilu bishvach sheishbichu ha'anafim ba'odan birshuto ein lo." Even the added value, the organic growth of the branches in the field during the period he had them, ein lo, he has no rights to those. That's how the Torah paskins la'alocha. And although the Shulchan Aruch doesn't bring it, the Sma references the Torah and brings that la'alacha as well. Down the road we go like Rava. And Tosfos makes it very clear that Abaye and Rava are not arguing about what we assume the intent to have been. That would be a simple way to explain the machlokes. Abaye says we assume this was included in the contract, and Rava says that we assume this was not included in the contract. This was clearly just for harvesting vegetables or fruit or corn or whatever it was that they were planting there. But Tosfos makes it very clear. Rava says even if that was the intention, he has no rights. The Tosfos says a little bit further on. So even if we assume that the intention was that the renter has some interest in the organic growth of the shikmah trees, although that wasn't the real focus of his rental, even if that was the intention when it comes to it, and he wants to claim it in Beis Din, we're going to say, and if for any reason the owner of the field says, no, I don't believe that this should be his. This is the shikmah tree. This is my capital. This is not what the field was rented for. The field was rented as a business to produce revenue. He's got the revenue. Each year he took the revenue from the field. Now he wants to take part of my capital. That's not right. He would win according to Rava. That would be our decision. We would not make him pay the value of the organic growth during that period of the rental to the renter. That's what Tosfos says. So if it's not about what their intention was, so we're talking about, we all agree the intention was to include or not to include. It doesn't matter what the intention was. The fact is, the owner is not obligated to pay the renter a piece of that organic growth. That's the halacha. So what's the argument? What's the machlokes? What are Rav and Abaye actually disagreeing about? So the Rashba brings the Ravid, and he says, Pirush HaRavid, Shvach Shikmah Hem HaPeorot Shehotzi Betoch Yemei Chakirato. We're talking here about new branches that the tree grew. Let's get even more clear. It doesn't even have to be that the branches became thicker, but what happens if they're new branches? There's now more wood available for construction in this forest. Is that peirot shehem kamo peirot? Abaye says that's like peirot. They weren't there before, now they are there. This is fruit. This is product. Peirot means product. Peirot doesn't mean fruit. That's something you make a borei pri'ayitz on. Peirot means product. And if the tree now can produce more wood than it could before, that's part of the peirot of the tree, says Abaye. Says Rava, no, v'Rava amar afilu b'shvach shikma inu mipnei sheim keguf ha'ilan. This is not peirot, this is tree. This is the body of the tree. This is part of the capital of the business. This is not revenue of the business. This is not product. This is capital. Because this tree will now continue producing more and more wood. That's not what you rented the field for. So the Ravid explains that the machlokes Abaye and Rava is whether this organic growth of the shikmah tree is considered peirot or isn't. Everybody agrees he rented it for peirot. And he planted peirot, he planted cucumbers and tomatoes and all sorts of good things there, and he had them for the 5 years, let's say. Now he wants the added value of the growth of the shikmah tree. Says Abaye, absolutely, that's part of the peirot, that's part of the product of the field. Says Rava, no, this is not part of the product of the field, can't be. And this argument about what they're really arguing, then, the way I understand the Ravid is, they're arguing on the meaning of the word peirot. Does peirot mean fruit or does peirot mean product? And it really depends whether you're looking at Chumash Hebrew or at Mishnaic Hebrew. In the Chumash it says pru revu. What does that mean? Rav Sadia Gaon defines pru. Hu sheyaviu pri shehu kemotam. That's the ability of a plant or an animal to reproduce an identical species like its own. That's pru. So a pri is the seeds, contains the seeds of the species able to reproduce itself. It's very specific what pru is. Revu means get stronger, get bigger. Hashem gave 2 brachas. Pru, have fruit. Urevu from Rav, get strong. It's not in English they say multiply. That's not what Rav means. Rav means get strong, get mighty, expand. That's Revu. But Pru means fruit. Says Rava, the tree is not fruit. That's not the added value of the tree and new branches on the tree. That's not Pri. That is not something that can grow itself. So when the Torah uses the word Pri, it means seeds. It means something that can reseed itself. That's what Pru means, and therefore the branches of the tree, that's not part of the Pru. It makes good sense. The problem is, if we take that view, then, and we say they're arguing about what the meaning of Pri is, then we need to take a look at another Gemara in Brochas Daf Lamed Vav. Kuro. As I was learning this Gemara, I thought to myself, well, what about hearts of palm? We had hearts of palm in a salad over Shabbos. A heart of palm is not fruit. It's not a Pri. A heart of palm is the lulav before it becomes a lulav. So as Rashi explains in the Gemara over there, Rach shel dekel, the soft part of a palm tree. When the branches grow each year, as any tree does, the first year that the tree grows as a little branch, the dekel grows a little branch, it's soft and it's edible. And people cut that and pickle it and they use it and they eat it, as we did yesterday. But that's not fruit. The fruit of a palm tree is a date. So on a date, you make a borei priyayitz. What brocha do you make if you're eating the heart of palm? The heart of palm is a piece of tree. What do you make? It's an edible piece of tree. What brocha do you make? So we have a machlekes, Rabbi Yehuda and Shmuel. Rabbi Yehuda amar borei priya adama, u'Shmuel amar she'akol niyeh bidvaro. Rabbi Yehuda says you make a borei priya adama. We'll understand that in a moment. And Shmuel says she'akol niyeh bidvaro. Now she'akol niyeh bidvaro, I understand according to Rava. Rava says the growth of the tree is not fruit. It's not peirot. It's not priyayit. It's not priyadama. It's not peirot. So what bracha do you make? She'akol niyeh bidvaro. And it's interesting. We paskin like Rava. The Rif paskins like Rava, and the Rambam Shulchan Aruch paskin like Rava in our Gemara, and the Gemara itself in brachas paskins like Shmuel, that you say she'akol niyeh bidvaro on hearts of palm. That's the halacha. So that makes good sense because it's not a pri. As Rava says in our Gemara, it's not a pri. The tree is not a pri. The tree, and therefore you make a shehakol. The question is, according to Abaye, who says it is a pri, why not say borei priyayit? Why is there nobody who says borei priyayit? There is no day that on a heart of palm you say borei priyayit. It's either borei priyadama or it's shehakol. So according to Rava, shehakol makes good sense, and according to Abaye, it's fruit. This is a pri. When they agreed that I will rent the field for the peiros of the field, that included the growth of the tree. So clearly, there's a difference between Pri Ha'adama and Pri Ha'etz. Pri Ha'etz means, so we're going according to the view, not like Rabbeinu Sadia go and explains Pru in the Chumash. In the Chumash, Perot means fruit, seeds. And I haven't checked in all cases if that's in every case through the Chumash, through Tanakh, but it certainly is, as far as I can think of the cases, whenever it says Pri, it's talking about a fruit. But in the Mishnah, when it talks about Perus, you're talking about the profits, you're talking about the revenue that comes. You can have Perus from a property, you can have Perus from a block of apartments, you can have Perus is the revenue that comes from capital. So now the question is the hearts of palm, it's certainly not a fruit. So if you want to translate it literally like Rabbeinu said, you go and translate in the Chumash, it's not a fruit, and therefore you say Shakol Niyeh Bidvar. But if you want to say that Peirot in the Mishnah means product, is this a product of the tree or a product of the land? What Rav Yehuda says in Gemara Brochis, this is a product of the land. It's not that the tree didn't produce it, it is the tree. When you're eating the hearts of palm, you're not eating something the tree produced, you're eating the tree itself. And for that, and is the tree product? Yes, the tree is also product. The shikmã is also product. It's product of the field. That's why in our case, Abaye says he's entitled to the growth of the product produced by the shikmã tree, because the shikmã tree is pri ha'adama of the land he rented. That's how Abaye understands it. And that's then in a line with Rav Yehuda's view in Brochas that you make a pri ha'adama, not a pri ha'etz. This is not pri ha'etz. So the word pri can mean two things. Pri in its Chumash meaning, in its biblical meaning, means fruit with seeds. Pri in its Mishnaic meaning means profit, the income that comes from a property or from a business. Rava takes pri in this case. If I rent a field and my intention is for peirot, that means literally fruit, vegetables, to use proper peirot. The shikmah tree itself is not a pri. If it's not a pri, I shouldn't make a borei pri adama, certainly not a borei pri it's on hearts of palm. And achinami, Rava would go like the view of Shmuel in the Gemara in Brochus, which is the halacha that you make a she'akol. It's not a pri at all. However, Abayu says it is a pri. It's a pri of the land. It's product of the land. What would a heart of palm be? That's also product of the land. You should make a borei pri adama, and that in fact is the halacha. So we see in this Gemara a beautiful distinction between the different forms of growth. If you have a business, you can have capital growth. The business was worth $1 million and the market's gone up, and it's now the people are willing to pay for that same business or property that was worth $1 million last year. They're willing to pay 1.1 million this year. That's capital growth. So it's clear that the renter would have no right to capital growth. There's no actual change. And then you've got revenue growth. They're working it more efficiently. And the same property is able to produce more income, not because the market has changed, but because it's more efficient. The same business is able to produce more product, and that gives it more value, but it's through its efficiency. There's more peirot. And because there's more peirot, the business is worth more, but it's the peirot that has grown. The business is exactly the same as it was before. And then you've got organic growth. You've invested, you've improved the business, you've got a property, you've fixed the plumbing, you've given it a coat of paint, you've improved it. It's the same business, but it has become stronger, it has become better, not because the market has gone up, the market's the same. You've put more effort into it, it's grown more. That's organic growth. Or the business has expanded of its own accord without any acquisitions. It's just become stronger, like a shikmah tree. The shikmah trees become stronger. That's organic growth. And we see in the Gemara that the organic growth is in a way the most sustainable, because the Balabos says, I didn't rent organic growth. I gave him peirot. You can have the revenue from my business. Don't try and take the organic growth of my business. That's mine. That belongs to me. And it's the same in personal growth. In the personal growth, I was thinking too, you've got growth of maisim, you've got growth of impact, growth of action. Person grows and develops during their life. They become stronger. They become more wealthy. They're able to do more chesed, more tzedakah, more charity, more kindness, more mitzvahs. That's a growth in peirot. Those are the peirot. The things you do with your life are the peirot, and that's a form of growth. But there's another growth, and that's the growth in who you are. That's organic growth. You become a bigger person. And that's when the Medrash says that Yosef Mishelo Natnulo, when Yosef got the honor in Mitzrayim, Mishelo, it was because he was a bigger person. It wasn't reward for something he did. It wasn't for a mitzvah that he did or for an action that he did. Mishelo Natnulo, he got that because he was a bigger person. And that's the difference between doing mitzvot and learning Torah. Doing a mitzvah, one grows in one's impact. One can spread one's impact. One can do things. One can uplift the world. But it doesn't necessarily change you. What changes you is when you put yourself into the learning of Torah, that makes you a stronger person. That makes you a bigger person. That's organic growth. That's mishelo natnulo. And that we need to understand, we need to pursue both forms of growth, both in our general lives and in our lives of Torah. We try and do more, we try and impact more, we try and accomplish more. But even more important than that is to be more, to grow more, to be a person of greater stature, because a person of greater stature automatically does much more with each day of their lives, not because they're working harder or doing more, just because they are more. That's the organic growth, like the forest of shikmah trees. It's not about producing extra fruit. It's not, you can't quantify it in that way, but the trees are stronger. The trees have more wood on them. And that, although it's not peirot in the sense of revenue, it's peirot in the sense of product. The field is producing stronger trees from an organic perspective.